so very much. This is indeed a great honor, because being here tonight, I've known in taught here, I've seen all the athletes and knew how great they were, so it's such an honor to be considered with them. When I first learned of this, I was so surprised, and I tried to think, you know, I must have had something that I contributed to the winning, and why did we win? You know, I thought about that a lot, and I guess it was my competitive spirit and things. When I first took over the coaching aspect, and I looked at the kids, and I wanted to install my system, they tended to balk at such a disciplinarian system. And I knew I was in trouble when I said, tomorrow at practice, and the kids said, what practice? You know, they weren't quite used to what I was doing. And after we had the one practice, some of the boys were very upset that they had to work that hard. And one boy yelled at me, I'll always remember, you mean it's your way or the highway? And I went over and I hugged him, and I said, you understand. Well, he quit anyway. 8 of the 10 JVs that were on the team did not make it. I believe Al Lewis was one of the JVs who did make it in things. And I was very tight on discipline. And one of my rules was that you couldn't be late. Now, my good friend Steve Starleaf, he had to abide by that rule too, and that killed him almost, getting in on time. But Al would come in late, and one of my rules is if you were late after practice, you ran a mile. And Al was a runner. So Al said, okay, coach, it's not working. So the Lewis family is wonderful, and I called his mother, and I said, tell me about Al. And she said, oh, and she told me all the good things. He's so fastidious, he keeps everything so clean and nice. And she went on and what a wonderful son he was. And so then Al came in the next day late. I'm going to go run, coach. No. The coach's room at this time was one of the filthiest places you've ever been. Cockroaches died getting across the floor. I said, you're going to clean the coach's room. He cleaned the room. He was so disgusted with cleaning that room. He called his mother to bring down some clothes for him, and he showered. And then I reminded him that we had 6 more coaches' rooms to be cleaned. And Al was never late again. Well, I think my talent, if I have any, was recognizing, as Steve said, athletes, but not athletes just per se. Athletes I interviewed that had high self-esteem and set goals. And I talked with them at each one. Some of them I met just walking down the hall. Sergio Martinez, I've never played tennis. That's okay, I can teach the tennis. I can't teach you to be an athlete. I can't inspire you. I'm hoping that I cannot forget everybody, because I had over 300 tennis players. And they were all so wonderful to be with, because when you take someone who is talented, intelligent, and sets goals, they're a pleasure to coach. And what I'm proudest of is not just our league record. And I guess I am competitive. We did win 128 matches and lost 2. And I can't tell you about many of the 128 wins, but I can tell you about both losses. I guess, you know, that old saying, it's not important if you win or lose. It's important that I win. I guess that might have been one. But what I'm happiest about, and Mr. Callum rubs it in all the time, that we won only 1 CIF championship and he won more. We would have won more, but you see, we never were able to. This picture here of the students, we would have won 4 CIF academic championships, state academics, but our administration never submitted their grade scores. It was, the principal said, and you can read it in the article, it was too much trouble to submit it. So we never won those 4 academic things because of the principal. I would mention Dr. Leland's name, but that would be unfair.
Clyde.
And I always try to get along.
Clyde.
So these boys were all successful. All of the students were successful, and that's what I'm proudest of. I gave up counting when I learned, I don't know if Mr. Warner is here tonight, but he told me that his son is a doctor, and that made 12 doctors. Of course, my critics would say they became doctors because they had a very sick coach. I had over 14 attorneys that, again, they were defending their coach so much they had to go to law school. But every one of them, I can't tell you how proud I am of all of them. Being on this Facebook thing is fantastic in that I've learned it, like reading biographies every day from these former players and things. I also want to comment on the girls program because they didn't get, as Louise said, they didn't have the recognition of the boys, and yet they came from a much farther route. The year I took over, they just hadn't won. And so we had to start and really instill in them the same discipline. And one of the girls on Facebook said, "You're right, Coach," because I used to tell them the girls had to run the mile too. They had to run the 2 miles. They had to run the 2 miles in 14 minutes. And they had to run the mile in 7 minutes. And I told them, hey, 20 years from now, when you have a family, you'll look back and you will tell them what great shape you are, and you will pay $30 a month to go to the gym to stay in shape. And I'm doing it here now for free. And some of those girls still remember that. And I was so lucky to have such great people like Annalisa Swan, who came out, and Corey Simmons, who just made the program go. They really established, and they went from nowhere to winning 4 league championships along with the boys. So I'm so proud of all of these, and I wish I could mention everybody's names here. I do want to tell one other story. We talked about competitive and girls are not competitive, Lolita Alcazar is the most competitive person I ever met, boys or girls. I want to just tell this one story. In playing doubles, and I studied doubles to win, one up, one back, and if you get a short ball, you hit it in the direction of the person who's up close, because they have the less amount of time and they can't defend. And so I threw in as an afterthought, and if you hit them, you get a Coke. Because if you hit the person, it's automatically your point. So we went over to play that other school, and we're playing them, and all of a sudden I hear Lolita yell, "Bingo!" And she had hit the girl. The girl had a big splotch on her thigh, and she was almost in tears. And Lolita, being very polite and in tennis etiquette, said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I hit you. I'm so sorry." 2 plays later, bingo! She hit her again, and this time the girl realized that she was going to die. She moved all the way back, and she never got close. Lolita hit 2 more girls that match. She said, "You owe me 4 Cokes." I realized, being the type person I am, that that was going to cost me a lot of money with her. And so I suspended that policy because I told her I didn't want her to get hooked on Coke. So what I am proudest of is all the people they have become. Only 3 boys that I know of went on from our league championships of Mark Nielsen, Doug Young, and Tigran Martesian to play tennis at the college and Tigran in the professional. The rest were student athletes. They enjoyed their tennis, they did their best, they achieved their goals, and then they went on to achieve their goals in life. And that's what I'm proudest of, achieving their goals in life. And now at 74, recently, I've been married now for 9 years, and when I met my wife, I promised to live to be 90, because my mother lived to be 89, and she smoked a pack a day. My father lived to be 88, and he smoked and drank. And I don't drink, and I don't smoke, and I try to, exercise. So if I die before then, I'm going to be really ticked off. And anyway, I will close with this. When I do go, I do go, hope I go like my mother, who died in her sleep, not like those other people that were screaming, the passengers in her car. Thank you so very much.